I will be making this recording available for all of you guys that have attended tonight. Now, to get started with, before we actually dive into making an actual WordPress plugin, I want to talk to you guys about just a couple of things real quick here. As marketers, I know a lot of you are looking for a way to, earn a reliable income online and perhaps even possibly get into earning that income in a really quick time frame. There are a lot of great tactics out there that you can use to make money. There's really no right or wrong one, but some simply work better for some people than others do. Some people have certain budgeting restrictions or time frame restrictions. If they really need to get income generated within a certain time frame. At least in my own experiences, over well over a decade of earning money online, I have personally found that developing and selling your own WordPress plugins is honestly one of the fastest ways that you can not only generate an earning decent income online, but actually generate potentially a full-time income. It really only took me a few months or so of developing WordPress plugins until I was actually earning a full-time income doing so, and really the income from it has only doubled each year since I have started doing it. So I really feel like this is an area where, number one, obviously I can show you guys exactly what I have done to build this business for myself, and I can show you exactly how you can do it as well, and provide you with some example code that you can actually start building upon for your own WordPress plugins to simply make your life a little bit easier. So you guys really won't have to overcome all of the different obstacles that I had to overcome as I was going through it, because I was doing it all by trial and error. I didn't have anybody that actually helped me get started. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is actually walking you through a very basic but still complete WordPress plugin and show you exactly how it works and how it's all put together, and just to see if you feel like this could be something that you could do. And if you're not already familiar with PHP programming or HTML or things like that, it's quite all right. You can actually learn that type of stuff as you go, especially if you happen to be working alongside of me. I don't mind helping you out, trying to help you figure out how to do particular things as you progress. Now, before I actually show you a WordPress plugin itself and some of the coding and things like that, I need to talk to you about my most essential tools that I use when it comes to developing these WordPress plugins. And there's really one main thing that I use. As you can see, I'm over here on Google. I'm actually going to simply search for Notepad++. And this brings up a website, notepadplus.org. If you do not already have a way that you can easily edit coding, especially PHP coding, I highly recommend Notepad++. It's completely free. It won't cost you a penny. It's actually all open source and a really, really great program, honestly. Yeah, it is. It is a really good little software, James. I've been using this for years upon years, and I really don't know what I would do without it. Now, in addition to Notepad++, the other thing that you will need here is some type of software that can compress all of your plugin files into a single zip file. If you're using a Mac computer, for example, I believe most Macs already come installed with something. I think it's Stuff It Expander or some type of related compression software. On Windows, you could use WinZip or even WinRAR. 7-Zip, another open source. Yeah, I don't think I've used that one, James, but if it's open source, it really doesn't matter what type of compression software you're using, as long as you can take a group of files and turn it into a zip file, then it will work out good for you. For those of you guys that have just joined in, I've noticed that a number of you have been coming in over the last few minutes or so. I have the source code for tonight's lesson right here at ryanstevensonplugins.com/pluginintro.zip if you would like to download that to be able to follow along. And I have also added that link into the chat box here for you. I'll go ahead and punch it in one more time because if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe that the chat messages that were older will show up for those of you that have just joined. So there it is one more time for you, just in case you do not already have that. So tonight I'm going to be walking you through actually using Notepad++, and I use WinRAR for my zip file compression. So I'm going to walk you through a complete tutorial of actually creating a WordPress plugin and just show you how some of this stuff works. Now, obviously, you can have WordPress plugins that are extremely simple. You can literally create an entire WordPress plugin in a matter of maybe an hour. If you know exactly what to do and what you're trying to go for when it comes to creating your plugin. You definitely want to try to plan out what you're trying to do ahead of time so you're not simply lost when it comes time to create your plugin itself. Now, to start with, I want to talk about this beginning portion of my code up here at the top, all of this text that is showing up in green. Now, this file that I have open here, this is in the first zip file that is contained within the package that you are downloading for tonight's lesson. The file is called techie-masterclass1.zip, and inside of that particular zip file, you actually find a folder called Techie Masterclass, and within it is going to be a file called techie-masterclass.php. And this is the PHP file that I have open on my screen for you right now. And technically, this is actually a completed plugin. This can be installed on a WordPress site and will actually function as it is intended to do so. So this is really one of the most basic examples that I could come up with to show you a complete working plugin while still keeping it all pretty simple, because I feel like that is the most complicated part to getting started as a plugin developer. If you're learning from others and learning by example, learning by example is a great way to go. I actually taught myself by learning by examples over the course of a number of years, and I really didn't even have anybody helping me and directing me and telling me what to do. So you guys will not have to actually learn that way. You can actually learn by being told exactly what needs to be done and where to do it. Now up at the top, all of this green code right here, this may not really look important, but what this is the standard WordPress plugin header code that you actually need to include in the main plugin file that you are creating. And there are a couple of points of information here that you need to provide. You're giving them a name for your plugin, a website address for your plugin, a description of the plugin, the version number, your author name, and a website address for the author. And then the licensing down here can really just vary depending on what you are trying to do. I develop commercial plugins, but you can even develop free plugins to publish in the WordPress repository. And instead of making money off of the sales, you can actually make money off of advertising or donations or simply soliciting custom work off of your plugin. So there's really tons of different ways that you can earn money by creating these plugins. It doesn't necessarily have to be from direct sales. Now, further down this page, the remaining portions of this code, everything that I have highlighted right now, all of this is the actual coding for my WordPress plugin. Now, for those of you that are familiar with PHP already, you may notice that I have these three functions on my page. And beyond these three functions, I only have 3 lines of code that are actually in this file. And these 3 particular lines of code, if you're not familiar with WordPress plugin development whatsoever, then this might be completely confusing to you. You might not understand what exactly these functions are for. And that's because these are actually all WordPress functions. Each of these is essentially a way to allow me to add my own coding into the standard WordPress core coding. So, for example, to start out with here, I'm using this function called register activation hook. And in this function, I am simply referencing the name of a function in my own plugin file. You can see when I highlight TMC install right here that it's also highlighting it up here, because this is actually referencing my function up here. So what this is doing is whenever WordPress is used to actually activate this particular plugin, then it will call this function right here and run the coding that I have within this function. So this allows me to create a simple but effective installation script for my WordPress plugin. If there are default database values that you need to set up in a plugin when it is first installed so that everything can run as expected, default values, for example, that you might want to have created for you, this can all be done within the installation function here. Now, for this particular example, I am using something called add option. This is another WordPress function here, and I'm using it inside of my installation function. And what this is actually doing, it is saving information to the WordPress database, specifically in a particular table that they have called options. So you don't actually have to use database commands to save and retrieve this information. You just use these simple WordPress functions. So when I'm adding this option, I'm using a name for my option right here, TMC powered by. And then the second portion right here, this is the value that I am saving for this particular option. And so when this plugin is activated, this information actually gets saved into the database under this name right here. And then I could later retrieve that information or even modify that information throughout my plugin code somehow. And then, perhaps display it on my public website, for example. Now, just like the activation function, I also have a deactivation function that I can use. And this works the same way. It's referencing a function within my WordPress plugin. So whenever my WordPress plugin is deactivated through the WordPress administration, then this particular function gets called and it runs this coding right here. Now the coding that's being run, this is the delete option function. And the delete option is simply removing the information that I saved to the database during my installation function. So my deactivate function is basically just cleaning up my installation function. Now, the very last part of this here, I have one more function and one more WordPress command. This WordPress command is add action, and what this is doing is actually letting me hook into a portion of the WordPress code and add my own information that I want to be displayed there. So the portion of the WordPress code that I'm hooking into here is actually the WordPress footer. And what this is the actual footer portion of my public website. So what I am telling WordPress is that when it reaches that portion of the website, to simply call another function in my WordPress plugin right here, TMC footer. And TMC footer is simply displaying the information on my website that I have saved in the database right here. So it is going to display this TMC powered by Notice at the bottom of my public web page. So now, just to show you exactly how this all works, I'm taking my PHP file right here that I have in a folder. It is called Techie Masterclass. You need a primary file in your plugin folder using the name of your plugin, and that PHP file should be contained within another folder that is actually by the same name. So I have a folder named Techie Masterclass, and within it I have a PHP file named Techie Masterclass. This is actually the format that WordPress needs to be able to recognize your plugin and whatever files you may have contained within it. So all I have to do is simply take this folder that is containing my PHP file and create a zip file out of it. It doesn't matter what the actual zip file is named. It can be named the same thing, Techie Masterclass, or it could be named some completely random name. It really doesn't matter. What's important is actually what is contained within that zip file. So now that I have this Techie Masterclass zip file created containing this file, I can then take that particular zip file over to a WordPress site now. And in the installed plugins page, I'm going to simply add a new plugin. And this time I am uploading a plugin and simply selecting the file that I created. This is the Techie Masterclass.zip file that I just got done creating, which contains the folder and the PHP file within it. So now all I have to do is simply upload this zip file to my website and click on the Activate button, and I have a completely functioning and running WordPress plugin on my site now. You can see it down here at the bottom, Techie Masterclass. Something to point out here, all of that information that I had entered up here at the top, everything that is up here in the green text, this information actually gets spit out right here on this particular page. You can see the plugin name is displayed right here. Here is the description for my plugin that I have set for it up here. My version number is right here as well. The author name and the author homepage is right here, Ryan Stevenson, and my URL right there. And then the plugin website, techiemasterclass.com, that I have entered in right here. So all of this information that you're providing in your plugin right here, not only does this information tell WordPress that you're actually trying to create a plugin here, because if you completely remove this top section of information and try to activate it on your WordPress site, it simply will not work. It will tell you that it's not recognized as being a plugin. So now that I have this installed and activated on my website, I can actually go and see what my coding has done. Flip back over to the coding one more time, just so we can actually identify what we're supposed to be looking for here. I had a function called when my plugin is activated, and then I have another one that gets called if it is deactivated, and a third one gets called during the footer display of my public website. So in terms of looking at my website and being able to tell if this plugin is working or not, the only way I can really do that is by looking at the public web page and seeing if this footer message is actually displayed or not. So to do that, I flip over to the public web page and simply refresh it. And if you notice down here at the bottom, my little powered by notice with a link to my website actually shows up in the footer of the page down here at the bottom. And this will actually show up on every single page throughout this entire website. This is not a completed website or anything. This is just simply something I'm using for the purpose of this tutorial, so I can show you exactly how this plugin is working here. So this simple little bit of code right here is a complete and functioning WordPress plugin. Obviously, it's not doing a whole lot for you. It's simply displaying a message down at the bottom of your public web pages. However, you should be able to tell at this point that the concepts that are needed to create these WordPress plugins is actually pretty simple. A WordPress plugin usually ends up being nothing more than a series of functions that you have created. Each one of them is used for a particular purpose, and then you simply reference those functions using various WordPress functions. So you're actually adding your own coding into the base WordPress coding. So there are a wide variety of these different WordPress functions that you can actually use to pretty much accomplish anything you are looking to accomplish. However, this simple basic understanding of it, if you can grasp what I'm showing you on my page right now, then you can simply build upon this by adding one extra function at a time to accomplish even more things in your WordPress plugin. And this is actually how you put together a complete final plugin that you can then turn around and sell to other marketers. Now what I'm going to do is actually go a little bit further. I'm not just going to leave you with this extremely simple plugin. I'm going to make it a little more functional and useful for you by teaching you how to add in some extra stuff to it. Now, to start out with here, I have opened up the second file here. This is Techie Masterclass 2 .zip within the main zip file that I have given you guys for tonight's lesson. So this is actually the second example of this functioning plugin. And just like the previous example, this example is completely working and functioning as well. Now you may notice that this is very, very similar to the last one. There's really only 3 new sections to this entire plugin that were not included in my previous example. So all I'm really doing here is building upon my previous example and showing you some additional features of how you can work with the WordPress code through your actual plugin coding. So what I'm doing here is I have one new WordPress function that I am using down here at the bottom, and this is add action, just like I was using here to display my footer message, except this time I'm referencing a different portion of the WordPress code when it comes to where I actually want to add my own coding. And this time I'm adding my coding to the admin menu. And the admin menu is actually within the WordPress administration pages. Over here on the left-hand sidebar right here, this is the admin menu. So I can actually hook into this WordPress admin menu, and I could add my own menu items to it, or simply create a new section of menu items within this administration menu. So this particular value right here for the add action function simply references the function that is in my WordPress plugin. And this is used to create the menu over in the left-hand sidebar. I'm using another WordPress function here called add menu page, and this is doing just what I was just explaining to you that it would do, simply create a new WordPress menu within that administration menu. The actual information here that I've provided to this WordPress function, this is simply information that identifies my menu. This is the title of the page that is going to be displayed for this menu page. This is the actual link title that will be used in the menu. This manage options right here, this actually tells WordPress which WordPress users can or cannot access this particular menu item. WordPress can be used for a wide variety of purposes. You can obviously have the administrator that is running a particular website, and they would obviously be able to access anything on the website. But then you have other WordPress sites where you might actually have additional members on the website, and they might actually have access to do various things. Perhaps they can write and post articles on your web page, but obviously they wouldn't be able to go in and change all the different settings and stuff. So this particular value right here allows you to simply control what type of user can be able to access the plugin files and the menu pages within your plugin. So this manage options right here, this is the standard one that I use. This makes it so basically only the administrators of a website will be able to use these menu pages, because 9 times out of 10 that seems to be the type of plugin that I'm building. I'm trying to add additional features for the administrator. So I typically will use this, but there's plenty of other options that could be used here. Now, in addition to that, I'm simply providing, this is a unique value that I am giving for my plugin menu, and it's basically just a name that WordPress uses. Now, this will become a little more important when I get to the next example here, because I'm actually going to be adding more items to this one menu than just one. The very last portion of this here, you can see when I highlight TMC main page that it actually highlights it down here as well. This is referencing this function right here. So this function is actually the content of an entire administration web page within my WordPress plugin. So this is simply displaying some information or text on that particular page. Now, if I take this same example back over to WordPress here, there are a couple of different ways that you can go about taking what was your old plugin code and updating it to your new plugin code. You could do this through FTP and simply upload your files and overwrite them with the existing files and your new files that you want to add in there. Or you can do all this through WordPress, as long as you're not worried about losing any information from deactivating your plugin. So all I'm going to simply do is deactivate and completely delete my original plugin from this site. And then I'm just going to go in and add in a new plugin. This time around, however, I'm going to be adding in this second plugin file, Techie Masterclass 2. And then I simply install this and activate it like I did the previous times here. Now, you can see this time that it looks just like before. I have Techie Masterclass plugin showing up in my plugin list here with all of the information. If I flip over to my live website and refresh it, you can see that everything is still the same here as well. I still have my Powered by Techie Masterclass noticed out at the bottom. However, the main difference here is that when I look in my left-hand administration menu, I have a new menu item now called TMC. This TMC menu item is what was created by my additional code right here. You can see TMC right here is my label for that particular link. So if I wanted it to say something different, all I would have to do is change this text right here in my plugin. So now if I click on this menu link, it takes me to a page that is still contained within the WordPress administration area, except the information that is actually shown in the content of that page here. This is all information that I control using the coding from my WordPress plugin. You can see right here my header of TMC with the statement, "Welcome to Techie Masterclass," right down below it. And this is the content that is showing up within this particular page now. So it's really this simple to create your own customized administration pages in your plugin. You could simply have these pages doing anything that you might want them to do. They could be used for your users to create advertisements on their web page, or manage various information on the website. Or you could even use it as simply a basic settings page where people can change around some options that your plugin has available to them. So the next step that I'm going to do here is for the final Techie Masterclass file that I have, and this is actually the completed example for tonight's lesson. And I've gone into much more detail here within this particular example file, and I actually have all of this commenting. Excuse me. Any lines of the PHP code right here that have these 2 forward slashes in front of it, these are commented lines of code, which simply means that this is information that I have typed in myself, and it's not actually processed as PHP coding. So what I have done is go through this entire file for you here, and I've actually made comments on each of the different portions of the code that I have in this particular plugin file. So you can go back through this file and read my comments for each of the various sections, and to help you understand in a little bit more detail exactly what it is that each portion of my coding is trying to accomplish. Just as an example here, for this particular installation function, I mentioned that this is the install function for the plugin. This function is only called when the plugin is activated through WordPress, and it simply prepares WordPress for this plugin to be used. And then the actual code that is being ran within this function file, it is adding an option named TMC Power By to the WordPress options database table. So I've gone through this entire file and explained all of these different pieces to you, so you can actually understand what is going on here. If you need a little bit of additional explanation beyond maybe what I have covered, talking to you guys tonight. So with this final example here, what I have done is taken this process one step further and made it so this particular WordPress plugin actually has some type of real functioning use to it. So it's not just spitting out information on your web page, for example. So there's some type of interactivity between the user of the plugin and what is actually going to be happening in the plugin as a result. Because ultimately, this is what almost every single real plugin will actually be doing. It's usually looking for some type of information from the person that's using the plugin to essentially decide the best way for the plugin to actually operate itself. Because obviously, you'll have people that are buying plugins, and not everybody is going to want everything to work the exact same way. So what you can do is to simply program some different options into your WordPress plugin, so people have a choice of make it work this way or make it work that way, for example. So what I have done here with this final example is to go that additional step for you and show you how you can actually accept information from your users of your WordPress plugins, and then take that information and do something with it through WordPress or on your public WordPress website, for example. Now, down here at the bottom of my file, you can see that I have the 4 WordPress functions down here that I had used in the previous 2 examples. So this time, I have simply added in one more additional WordPress function. And this function is actually adding code to the admin init. And what this is the initialization of the administration pages on your plugin. So basically, when somebody is anywhere on any of these administration pages throughout the plugin, when these pages are first being loaded, it is calling this particular portion of the WordPress coding to essentially set up and prepare everything that is needed for that page to run. And it does all this before information is actually displayed on the page. And this is important because I'm actually registering settings for this particular example. And you see here this TMC register my settings. If I scroll back up here, this actually relates to a particular function that is in my WordPress plugin. And this function is used by the settings page of the plugin to automatically save my option values. Now my option is what I was creating in my installation script here, this TMC powered by. This is the option, the WordPress option that I am using in this particular plugin file. So back down here to the register settings function that I'm using. This simply references another WordPress function called register setting. I provide a unique name for my group of settings that I might be using on a particular page, and then I simply provide the value or the name of the option that I'm going to be using on that page. Now, just as an example, if I was going to be using two different options here, let's say I had a second powered by notice, for example. This right here would simply work if I had this option also created throughout my WordPress plugin code. This TMC settings group at the beginning here, this stays the same each time. You don't have to create a unique name for each different occurrence. I'll show you where this is actually getting used here right after this. I'm going to go back up to my menu function now that I had created before. Now you can see right here, this is my original add menu page call that I had done in my previous example. And this is creating the primary WordPress menu for this particular plugin right here. Now what I have done is added in a second line of code down at the bottom, and this is using the WordPress function add submenu page. And all this is doing is adding another link, but it's adding it to the same menu that I had just created up here. And to reference that menu, I simply use the unique name of the menu that I provided up here. Remember I told you that you simply had to provide a unique name here, and then you would use this to connect other parts of the menu to that main menu. Well, this is how it is done right here. You simply reference this same name at the beginning of this add submenu function, and it's telling WordPress to add a new menu item to this particular menu that already exists. And then you still basically have the same information required after that. You have a title for your page. You have a link title that will be used within the menu itself. Manage options right here, as I had mentioned before, controls privileges, basically whether a user can access this particular page or not. And oops, I just deleted that right here. And then this right here, TMC settings, this actually controls the URL that it takes to reach a page. If I slide back over here to this WordPress plugin, on this main page right here, you can see up at the top that the page is actually referenced as TMC menu. Well, for my sub-menu item here, the page will be referenced as TMC settings. And then at the end, I simply provide a function name to call to display all of the information for that settings page. So when somebody clicks on the settings link in my menu, then it will call this particular function in my WordPress plugin. And you can see down here, I have this function built into my plugin already, and then I have information that is getting displayed here. Now, this particular page, this is my settings page. So this is not just a standard page that is spitting information out. It's actually something a little more interactive than that, because it is accepting information from the user of your WordPress plugin and then saving that information to the WordPress database, and then that information can be retrieved at a later point in time, and you can do something with it through your WordPress plugin coding. So what I have done here to start out with is set up my settings page. I'm using HTML coding right here without using echo commands like I had done before, simply because I have closed off my PHP code with a closing PHP tag right here. However, all of this is still contained within the TMC settings page function. All of this information right here is all within this one particular function. So this is creating the display for this particular administration page. Now, what I'm doing here is a slightly simplified version of how you actually would normally retrieve information from a user and then save it to your database. I'm actually simplifying things by using some WordPress functions here that are going to actually do at least half of this work for me. And that's really kind of the beauty about using WordPress, that a lot of people may not potentially understand. If you've ever tried to build a PHP script that simply runs on a website and doesn't depend on WordPress whatsoever, if you want to, say, save information to a database, then you have all of this extra coding that you have to worry about. You need coding to connect to the database. You need various coding that will actually be used to retrieve and save the information in your database. But WordPress eliminates all that. They actually have all of that coding built into WordPress already. So all you have to do as a plugin developer is simply to know how to link into the coding that WordPress already has available there for you. And WordPress will actually do half of your work for you, which obviously makes it a lot easier when it comes to trying to develop and complete a project, because it's simply less work. And with less work, you can churn out more products in a shorter period of time. So for this particular example, you can see up at the top here, I'm using an HTML tag called form. And this indicates that I am going to be posting information from this form, and obviously the user of my plugin will be entering the information on the form. And then WordPress is going to handle all of the actual saving parts of processing this information for me. And this is all handled with three particular parts of my code. Number one, the action value of my form tag right here, it has to be set to options.php. This is a PHP file that is within the WordPress core, and all you're doing is simply posting your information to that file instead of posting it back to the same page that you were on. And once the information is done processing on that file, it goes right back to the same page that you were on. So there's no additional work that you have to do in terms of, redirecting your users to end up on the correct page. WordPress handles all of that for you. So now, to create the actual information in this form that tells WordPress what to do, I have to use two particular WordPress functions. The first is called WordPress nonce field, and what this is doing, it is creating information to add into this field, and it's telling WordPress that I want to be updating my options, and it's actually a little bit of a security protection as well. I won't go into all the details surrounding that, but basically it just creates a unique code that it adds into the form, and then WordPress simply listens for that unique code to get posted to them, and this ensures that people aren't trying to post information to your options.php file from outside of your website, for example. And then the second part to this is this settings field right here. I am referencing TMC settings group. This is what I had used as the unique name for my settings group up here in my register settings function. So what this is telling WordPress is that any of the option names that are found within this particular group that I have referenced here, all of these options are going to be getting updated on this particular page. So your settings groups should be done according to what you will ask people to enter information for on any given page. You don't want to reference options that would be used on a different page here, because if you don't post information for that option, then it will simply assume that you are posting blank information for that option, and it will wipe out any previous values you may have saved. But for this particular example, I'm just using this one option still, TMC powered by. So when I reference the settings group right here, it is telling WordPress that I'm going to be saving information to this TMC powered by option. Now, the rest of this coding right here, all of this simply controls the display of this particular page and the input field that I have for allowing the user to save information here, and then also the save button that I am using for this particular form. So a lot of this coding right here, while it may look a little bit complicated at first, this is all HTML and CSS coding with basically one minor exception. You can see right here in the middle, I've actually echoed out a value of this TMC powered by setting right here. So this simply puts the saved value of this particular WordPress option in as the default value for this particular field in my form. So this allows people to not only input a new value for this powered by statement, but it actually allows them to modify the existing value for it as well, if that is something that they are looking to do. So this has actually explained this entire file now. So what I'm going to do is jump back over to WordPress one more time and show you actually how this works. I'm going to deactivate and delete the previous plugin that I had put on this site here. So then I can simply go back in and add in this new version here. Now, this last time around, I'm doing the final file, obviously, Techie Masterclass final.zip. I install this file through WordPress and activate it. And you can see now that it is activated on my site. If I go back to the public page of my website, everything still looks the same here. I have my Powered By notice down at the bottom. This time, the big difference initially is if I hover over this TMC menu, I now not only have the main TMC item, but I also have a second menu item called TMC Settings. So this was the sub-menu page that I added to this menu for this particular portion of the example code here. And now if I visit this TMC Settings page, you can see the form that has been created on this page. And all this was done with this TMC Settings page function right here. All of the information right here controls what I am seeing on my page right here. So this is simply providing the user a way that they can, number one, see the value that is saved for this particular WordPress option, but then it also allows them to completely change it or just to simply make some changes to it if they want to. I could come down here and add in some minor text changes to it and click on the Save Changes button. And then all I have to do is revisit my live web page and refresh. And you can see now down at the bottom that it has accepted my updated text. And it immediately displays it on my live web page here. So now, using this particular example here, you could actually make a wide variety of WordPress plugins with hardly really making much in the way of changes to this basic coding. This is really the basics, at least, of almost any WordPress plugin that is out there. You have these administration pages. Some of them are settings pages, for example, where the user provides information of their own or chooses options to control different parts of the plugin. And then often your plugin will be outputting some type of information on the public web page. This is simply just a toned down and basic example of all of that to help you guys exactly learn how to do this, assuming that it is like your first attempt ever at creating a WordPress plugin. It's really not as complicated as it seems if you can just break down the parts of the coding that you need to accomplish different tasks. Just try to accomplish one simple task at a time. Figure out what WordPress function needs to be used to allow you to accomplish that. And then you simply create a new function in your WordPress plugin that will accomplish that for you. So this is pretty much the basics, at least, of how to create these WordPress plugins. There are obviously many more WordPress functions and different ways that you can go about creating these plugins. However, obviously these are complete functioning and working examples that I have shown you here. And you can actually take this code and make some minor modifications to it, for example, and create complete plugins that you could actually sell to people. Just as an example here real quick, let's say you were to replace all of this Powered By code with some HTML or JavaScript coding that came from another website. For example, a lot of people might use Google Analytics on all of their sites. You could simply paste in your Google Analytics code into this particular box right here, and it would spit it out at the bottom of all of your web pages. So you can kind of apply this same concept to other websites that are out there, for example, and you may even be able to create a simple plugin to help other users integrate these third-party websites into WordPress easier. Because obviously when it comes to adding in this code somewhere else, trying to edit your WordPress theme, for example, and find somewhere to copy and paste that code, the average WordPress user isn't able to do that. So these even super simple WordPress plugins can actually help real WordPress users that are out there by simply making a more complicated task easier and more simplified for them to accomplish. Now, just to get some kind of feedback from you guys, like how many of you out there felt like you were able to follow along with me pretty good tonight and actually understand what it was that I was teaching you as I was walking through those different examples? If you don't mind, just maybe punch in a yes or a no into the chat box for me, just so I can get a good idea of whether I'm on track here. Okay, wow, we got a lot of yeses. Marco, crystal clear explanation. Hi, Marco, how are you doing? Greg says, aye. Darlene, yes, great start for me to learn more. James, yep, no sweat. George, Vance, Joss, all of you guys said yes. All right, great. What I'm going to do here, guys, obviously you can take the information that I've provided with you so far tonight and try to go out there and learn all this on your own. And trust me, you can succeed doing it that way. It's the way that I went about doing it and learned. It just simply takes some time and a decent amount of effort. Okay, Sasmi says he needs to view it a second time. I will be posting a recording of tonight's lesson, and all you guys should get a link for that through your email within the next 24 hours or so, if you would like to watch this a second time. So obviously you could figure out how to do all this on your own. It will take longer, and trust me, you will run into some particular things along the way that will cause you major headaches. There are certain things about WordPress or building plugins for WordPress and interacting with the core WordPress code that are simply not documented on WordPress's end. And to figure these things out, I've actually had to just do a bunch of trial and error, and have wasted many weeks or months of my working time over the last couple of years doing so. I've even purchased real WordPress plugin development books that they sell in bookstores out there, and even those books really did not provide me with the crystal clear real-life examples that I was actually needing to be able to accomplish particular things. So in that regard, there is a lot of stuff out there where I can help you a ton on and save you a lot of time with all of that, and simply help you to bypass all that. And I'll give you, working examples that you can simply edit a couple of lines in and reuse for your own purposes. So what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm starting an ongoing plugin development coaching program. So now this is something where you're not, you know, I'm not going to be asking you guys to like shell out thousands of dollars up front for, you know, a really long, say, year-long coaching program, because honestly, I could continue to teach people about building WordPress plugins every single week for years and years and years to come, because WordPress is always evolving and new features are constantly being added, and so there's always something new to learn, even if you have learned everything. So instead of just having some kind of short training program, I'm simply going to do an ongoing training program where each month I'm going to run 4 live webinars and teach a specific area of WordPress plugin development, and I'll even get into all of the other stuff that's important, you know, because you can have a completed plugin, and if you don't know how to go about selling it, then all that work that you've done is simply a waste of time. So I don't want any of you guys to, you know, feel like you end up wasting time as a result of this training. So I'm actually going to be teaching everything that I do in my own personal business as a WordPress plugin developer in terms of creating my plugins from start to finish, all the important parts that a lot of people really don't think about, like how to get your WordPress plugins to automatically update when you have released a new version, for example, or you know, how to link your plugin into various parts of the basic WordPress system. For example, you open up the WordPress dashboard and you're provided with that standard WordPress news and the couple of different windows that it's showing you. You can actually add your own little window to those screens using your plugins, and have that information not come from the plugin itself, but it can actually be beamed from your server. So you could constantly update that information. Use it as a way to provide your users with news, for example, or links to important information. So there's all of these what people might consider to be minor parts to developing WordPress plugins, but it's actually those parts that are really the hardest to figure out, because there's not documentation on all of that stuff out there. So in addition to that, then I will be going on and actually showing you guys how to recruit affiliates and put together your own plugin launch. And so the intentions of this program, although it is an ongoing program that you could remain a member of for years into the future if it, you know, is working good for you, my initial objective here is to teach you how to build and sell your first plugin within 2 months as essentially a maximum time frame. I will cover enough information in my first 8 webinars, which will be 2 months worth of 4 webinars a month, to where I will actually teach you everything you need to know to create and sell an entire plugin after that 2-month time period. And then if you feel like that it isn't something you want to continue to do, or it hasn't worked out for you for any reason, you're more than welcome to, you know, cancel this at any point in time. There's absolutely no commitment whatsoever. Or you could continue to learn, you know, for as long as you want to continue learning for. Now, you can see right here on this page, I have a link to ryanstephenson-plugins.com/TMC plugins. I'll actually punch in the link for that into the chat box for you guys as well, so you can simply click on it if you would like to go and take a look at this page. This is actually where you would go if you would like to join me for this ongoing plugin development training and actually learn how to develop and sell your own WordPress plugins. And this is not something taught from a standard point of view. Most internet marketers out there, all the guys out there that are selling you WordPress plugins, 99% of those people did not create the plugin that they're selling you. They actually use outsourcing for almost everything. Most marketers are simply nothing more than good managers, good employment managers, and they will simply organize this employee to develop a plugin, another employee to run the customer service, another employee to build them a sales page and to run the launch for them, and then all they really do is they're kind of the face and the name of their business. Well, that's not the way I do things. I don't outsource anything at all. I do all of my work myself. I do all of my own plugin development, all of my own website designs. I create my own plugin licensing systems that distribute my plugins so people can't pirate them. I do my own graphics. I do my own sales page writing. I do my own customer support. So I'm literally a one-man army when it comes to developing plugins, and so this is the way that I'm going to be teaching all of you as well. Because if you can do plugin development by yourself and not outsource anything, then all that money that comes in from those plugin sales, it all goes to your pocket instead of having to take half of it and pay it to the guy that built the plugin for you and take another 25% of it and send it off to the guy that does your customer support and maybe wrote your sales page for you. So you can really jump from essentially being a marketer that's not known to anybody to being somebody who's well known by hundreds or even thousands of other marketers in a pretty short period of time, and you can actually generate a full-time income from it. You could even create your first plugin, and 2 months later, when it comes time to sell it, that could actually be the beginning of your full-time earnings. Because there's a lot more that comes along with this than just simply developing the plugin and selling copies of it. You generate leads every time you sell a plugin. And then those leads can be used to sell future plugins of yours. Or you can even promote other plugins as an affiliate to supplement your income while you're waiting for your next plugin launch to come around, for example. And even beyond that, there's quite a bit more that you can get into as a result of it as you begin to build a name for yourself. You could actually, start doing things like what I'm getting into now in terms of running webinars and teaching other people the things that you know and that you have learned. And once you do this type of stuff for a little while on your own, you begin to develop your own sense of what works and what doesn't, and you can kind of create your own way of doing things as essentially a spinoff of the way that I teach you to do things. Now, for the actual offer that I have for this plugin development program that I'm going to be running here, there are 3 different membership levels to this, guys. And I definitely do not want you guys to feel like you have to overstretch yourself and to go for something that you really cannot afford. I simply wanted to offer a variety of memberships so that no matter what position you might be in, no matter what your budget might be, there is an option out there that will work for you and for your needs. My cheapest option is under $100 a month right now, you guys, for 4 monthly live webinars, approximately 2 hours each, plus access to all the past recordings and member content from each webinar, like with tonight's webinar, how I provide you with example coding that you can use to follow along, and then you can also use that coding afterwards and build on it to create your own plugins. I'll be providing information like this and content for you guys every single week, and it could be things like editable plugin code, but it could also, when I get into teaching you guys how to actually launch a plugin, I'm going to be providing you with some templates for, various parts of your website that you're going to need to build. You'll need a download page, and, you'll need a page to direct your affiliates to. And so, I'm going to provide you guys with some templates and even some graphic files that you can use for these purposes. So you're not actually going to have to do all this work from scratch for you. I'm actually going to be providing a lot of base content for you guys that you can use to build upon, and obviously this will allow you to get a plugin to the market a lot faster than it would ordinarily. I sat around for numerous months for my first plugin that I was developing. Even after the plugin itself was done, just creating all of these other things to go along with it, the website and the download page and the affiliate information, and it was quite a process. And so instead of putting you guys through all that, I'm simply going to provide you with my own templates that I use for my own personal launches, and give you an easy way to edit that stuff and reuse it for your own purposes. Now, obviously, with the standard membership, you will be able to interact with me through the live coaching webinars. However, honestly, there's going to be, more than just one person in those webinars. It will be at least a decent handful of people, and potentially even a small crowd. So obviously, I won't be able to pay close attention to every single one of you throughout, each live webinar. And so I wanted to offer a couple of additional memberships for those that are looking for something a little more, especially in terms of personal time with me to be able to discuss what your plans might be for building a particular plugin. Because there's simply nothing worse than thinking you might have a great idea for a plugin and then spending months building that plugin, and then you finally show it to the first set of eyes ever, just to be told that, hey, that's not a very good idea, or maybe it would have been better if you had done it this way instead. And so, for those of you that are worried about that type of thing and looking to avoid those mistakes, these premium memberships may be a better fit for you. Obviously, if they are within your budget, I don't want any of you guys to go and max out a credit card to join any of these things today. Seriously, please. This is going to be able to help you, but I like sleeping at night with what I do. I wouldn't provide any of these services for you guys if I didn't feel like I could offer above and beyond the value of my asking price for them. My highest membership, for example, may seem like a lot of money, but if you're launching a plugin every single month, or even once every 2 or 3 months, you can more than make that back many times over during that same time period. So I'm simply trying to ensure that obviously have to make this worth my while to do as well. And I've tried to stretch the prices as low as possible for you guys. And honestly, the prices that I am offering today, they're only introductory prices. If you do join today, you do lock in the price that you join at forever, for as long as you remain a member with this plugin development coaching program. However, once I get a little bit further into this program, I will be raising the price, not for past people that had already joined, but just for future people that decide to join. And now my reasoning for doing this is, with these live webinars every month, for those of you just joining up today, obviously these webinars do not exist yet. And so you do not have that initial introductory learning content that you can immediately go and have access to. So I've essentially halved the prices of all 3 of these memberships compared with what they will be sold at in 2 months from now, once this introductory portion of this coaching program is completed. So people can join and watch, 8 webinars that would all give them the knowledge that they need to go and launch a plugin as soon as they could get one created. Now, for those of you guys that may not already have experience with HTML or CSS or PHP programming, for example, I am still providing access to my original Techie Masterclass series, where it has 5 different videos, 2-hour-long webinar videos, and an ebook to go along with each of those videos. And it teaches all of the basic information that you're going to need to actually be able to use those different website or programming languages. And so if you don't already have that information, you will get access to that, so you can actually learn the concepts of PHP programming, for example, if you do not already have that information. So now the 2 premium memberships that are being offered, the first one of these offers 2 monthly Skype calls. These are going to be private Skype calls, just you and me talking for an hour roughly per Skype call. I'm not going to say, hey, we've reached our hour, talk to you next week or whatever. I will always finish a conversation and not cut you off just because we've hit a time limit. So during each month you will be able to schedule, if you joined the premium membership, you'd be able to schedule 2 monthly private Skype calls with me where we can strategize about what plugin you might be developing. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys may want to run an idea by me, but you may not want to run it by me in my public webinar, for example, because obviously I won't be able to give you my own personal thoughts and give you a lot of detail about a potential plugin idea, for example, publicly, because that information should not be shared in a large group like this where you have other people that are trying to develop plugins. Obviously, you wouldn't want somebody else catching wind of your plugin idea and saying, hey, I could make that better, and trying to push something out on the market before you did. So these premium memberships are basically a way for you to have some of that private interaction time with me, and it also gives you some accountability, because I will definitely be keeping up with what the premium members are working on and ensuring that you are progressing through this training program. And if you're not, then, I'm going to be like, hey, what's going on here? What can I do to help you get back on track? what's the problem that's making you fall behind? Because obviously, if you're spending a larger amount of money with me each month, I want to be absolutely positive that you are getting your money back out of that and then some. For the very last, the highest membership, this still includes, in any of the membership levels, like the premium membership includes everything that comes with the standard membership, plus the features that are listed for the premium membership. And then with the premium elite membership, you get all the features from all three memberships, all for the one price. Now, the main big difference with the premium elite membership is in addition to the 2 monthly private Skype calls that you get every month, I'm going to run a monthly private webinar, roughly an hour in length, and this would just be between you and me once again. It would be a webinar just like tonight where you get to see my screen and I get to talk to you, but since you would be the only person in there, I could enable your microphone so we could simply chat with each other, and I can walk you through things in person on my screen. Or I could take a look at your plugin, for example, on my screen and walk through some different things that are going to be specific to exactly what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. And then in addition to that private monthly webinar, the premium elites are also going to get personal help from me with each of their plugin launches. And I can do this as often as one launch every single month. So you get to the point where you're producing a plugin every single month, I will back you up on every single one of those launches. This is going to involve me actually testing out your plugin in person and reviewing it for you. I'll even provide you with a review that you could put up on your sales page, for example. And then I will also review your sales copy and sales page for you. Basically check up on you to ensure that everything is done how it should be, and if there are any problems, to simply point them out to you and let you know how you can get all that fixed. And then in addition to reviewing your actual work for you, I'm going to help you with your launches. I'm going to help you find the affiliates for your launch. The other members, I will still be helping to teach you about how to do these launches. I will teach you how to go out and find affiliates the same way that I have done. But then for these premium elite members, I'm actually going to be doing hands-on work where I'm going to be, getting in touch with my personal affiliates that have been promoting my WordPress plugins since 2010 and getting them to promote your plugin launches for you. And then I'll even promote it through my own personal newsletter list as well. And I even do all that without taking a single penny of commissions. All those promotions, affiliate recruitments, and everything will all be done with your links and nothing affiliate related about that. So I won't be looking to promote your launch so I can earn money off of it. You'll get 100% of the sales off of those. And then in addition to that, for the premium elite members, I don't want you to have to go out and have any extra costs when it comes to that highest membership level. I use dedicated servers for my own WordPress plugins, so I'm going to actually host your WordPress plugin distribution websites on my dedicated servers if you are a premium elite member, and actually spend $300 a month per server for those dedicated servers. You can obviously put a few different sites on one server. It really just kind of depends on how busy the sites are, how much downloads you're having come through on any given day. But it's really best to not use shared website hosting, especially when it comes to launching a plugin, simply because like with HostGator's shared website hosting, for example, it can work, but if you get to the point where you have a busy launch, it can actually deny access to people because the shared hosting accounts will only allow 25 simultaneous connections at any given point in time. And a connection can really be a lot of different things. It can be somebody visiting your site. It can be an email being sent out or received. It can be database information being saved. So one single person coming to your site, viewing your sales page, buying your plugin can actually end up causing numerous different accesses on your web page. So it's pretty easy to hit that 25 person limit if you have a decent launch. And you know, all your people are all coming through at the same time, in which case then somebody could visit your page and maybe it won't load the sales page for them, which obviously makes it a little difficult to complete a sale. So in addition to the memberships, down at the bottom of this page, I've gone ahead and listed the initial 8 webinars that will be covered in this particular series. And then after those webinars, if you decide to continue on with the coaching program, there will be, you know, even more advanced topics and more in-depth and powerful strategies that I will be reviewing with you guys beyond that point. But I wanted to start you out with all of the basic essential information that you're going to need to create your first plugin and to actually get it out there on the market and to get some sales coming in for you. Now, do any of you guys have questions about anything that I've discussed tonight, or even my upcoming plugin development training program? If there's anything you'd like to ask me about it, feel free to go ahead and do so, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. No questions from any of you guys out there? If you would like to know anything in particular, feel free to ask. The monthly webinars. Let me pull up this page right here. This is the offer page for this coaching program right here. And you can see the 3 different price points for the 3 memberships right here. If you'd like to join, just click on the Buy Now button for any one of these and set up your PayPal subscription. After your purchase, you'll be directed immediately to GoToWebinar to get signed up for the first webinar, which is actually going to be exactly 1 week from today, August the 31st at 2 p.m. It's a Saturday as well. On that first webinar, I'm going to be polling all of the members that have joined and actually figure out what days of the week and what times, for example, these webinars will work out best for you. And so I'm going to try and schedule them essentially whenever works best for you guys to ensure that as many of you as possible are able to attend them live. And if for some reason you can't attend them live, I always welcome you to get in touch with me afterwards and ask questions that you may have had about things that I covered in each of the webinars. And then in addition to going ahead and getting signed up for that initial webinar, I'm actually going to be emailing everybody that joins in person simply to welcome you to the program. I'd like to find out a little bit more information about you and what your goals may be as a plugin developer, so I can ensure that all that is getting addressed for you throughout my coaching program. And then I will also be providing you with some additional information that you will need to access all of the member content and to keep track of the future webinars that will be in the program, so you can be sure to get signed up for them and attend, or to watch the recordings from past webinars. You'll have one centralized membership site location that you can access everything through. Any other questions that you guys may have? Feel free to ask. Don't be shy at all. If you need me to shoot you a more private reply to a question that you have, I can do that as well. I can at least privately type in replies here in the chat box to send to you. I know that at least some of you guys prefer, to not discuss things in public, especially if it has any details about what your plans may be or ideas that you may have. I really think that anybody out there who's used WordPress plugins before probably already has a great idea for a plugin that they've been sitting on forever. So, things like that I'd love to hear about from you guys, and discuss with you whether your idea is actually something that could be put into a real working creation that could then be sold, and give you a realistic perspective in terms of how long is it going to take you to develop it, and what problems you might run into. I can often identify those types of situations by simply hearing about how you would like to approach a particular project.